Good evening and welcome to our lecture on strategic management. We have now transitioned into a different conversation altogether. So we will understand various aspects around strategic management. We will also have discussions around missions and visions and their purpose for every organization. Why should organizations have these missions and vision statements? And also, we are going also to be understanding or looking at the importance of strategic management. So I invite you to work with me. We are going to take the shortest time possible. Now, when we talk about a strategy, we simply mean that it is a high level plan, and the word strategic or strategy, it would also literally mean the art of the general, and it originated from a Greek word that we call strategos, and it signified the planning of a military campaign. So now we borrowed the word strategos and now began to apply it into today's organizations by doing high level planning in all aspects to ensure that everything is moving on perfectly. So it's an aspect that we cannot afford to ignore because through it we can be able to foresee the future of the organization. We can be able to understand where we want to be and what we want to accomplish. And so it will involve us as organizations coming up with a course of action or decisions that are going to assist us maybe to focus and move on to a better place as an organization. Now, a strategy, we have said a strategy simply is a high level plan. So it will seek to address a number of issues. For example, a strategy will seek to management to grow the business of grow in terms of expansion. We are referring to so graphical. We are looking at the generally could also be that we want to maybe we want to add more customers into our portfolio, and also growth would also encompass the organization adopting customer retention strategies. Those are simply strategies to ensure that the customers that we have and those that are going to join us continually remain with us and they do not leave because of various reasons. So another strategy or another area that a strategy addresses is how the organization relates to other companies in terms of competition, in terms of collaboration. That relationship is important. So based on the level of competition we are seeing from other players that we are doing similar activities, then we could plan on how to counter those strategies that they have. And the key reason is for us to emerge and be the best amongst all our competitors. Our strategy is also going to address coordination among functional components. When we talk about functional components, they are simply departments within an organization. So our strategy is going to explain how coordination within departments is going to take place. And of course, examples would be the finance and accounting department, the sales department, the human resource department. Remember, all these departments are interrelated. And therefore, when we are coming up with a strategy, we need to have these departments working together in unison, the key focus being to be able to move towards the same direction as an organization. And also a strategy is the fourth one, going to emphasize on services and resource allocation. It is going to focus on the services that we offer to clients. It is also going to focus on the resources that we have, how we are going to allocate them. Examples of these resources would be the financial resources that we have, the human resources, who are the personnel, the time, and so on and so forth. And finally, our strategy is going to address employee relationships and matters to do with organizational culture. Culture is simply just a way of doing things. So our strategy is going to look at how do we conduct things within an organization. Do we have areas of improvement? Then we can be able to change that and improve. Now, so why is it that we need to study strategic management? Number one, through it, we are going to be able to define vision, mission, and goals of an organization. So strategic management is key because we will also now be expounding in other slides what is the meaning of a vision, a mission, and goals. I'm sure you have heard all those terms being mentioned in every organization. So it is very crucial. The other one is that through strategic management, we will be able to align our resources and capabilities of an organization with the external environment. So we are able to look at the aspects of the resources that we have. Then we see whether they are going to be capable to propel us to a different level. And when you talk about the external environment, for example, the competitors now, we need to check whether our resources can be able to counter what our competitors are doing. And also, it is going to help us identify and evaluate various opportunities and threats within the market. So strategic management is a major discussion. And through it, we will also, on the fourth one, be able to formulate and implement strategic, effective strategies to achieve competitive advantage. Yeah, so competitive advantage is all about you as an organization having an upper hand in terms of the services that you are offering, in terms of the goods that you are offering, and so on and so forth. And through strategic management, we will also be able to monitor and evaluate our performance. Remember, we cannot be having strategies and plans, and there is no opportunity for us to be able to evaluate and see whether we are achieving them. Yeah, so through strategic management, this is achievable because all the plans that we set, we have duration or days that we are going to evaluate and see whether we are on course to achieving the overall organizational objective. And finally, through strategic management, we are going to foster a culture of innovation because as part of planning, we cannot continually stay in one way of doing things. We need to continually change. We need to continually improve, what we are calling continuous improvement. And thus, looking at those points, then the aspect of strategic management cannot be ignored in any organization. And strategic when organizations are developing strategic plans. Strategic plans are just plans to take us to the world. I'm sure you've heard about the Sustainable Development Goals. I would like you to look at them as part of an assignment. Those, what we call SDGs, are particularly important for you to be able to understand. Meet these particular criteria. Now, every organization will also have a vision, a mission, goals, and objectives. So they are very, very important to have. Now, so we are saying strategic management will always begin with a clear understanding of the organization's purpose. And when we are doing that, then we need to have clarity in terms of mission, in terms of vision, in terms of goals, and in terms of objectives. Now, we will now be able to distinguish between a vision, a mission, and we are saying for a vision statement is just a concise and inspiring description of what the organization aspires to be in the future. I want you to keenly note the word in the future because strategic management in terms of developing vision statements, a vision will always tell us on where we want to be. That's actually a major point in terms of helping us differentiate between a vision and a mission. A vision statement is more looking into the future. And some of the questions that we answer in regards to the vision is where do we want to go? It would also provide a long-term perspective of often looking to 5 to 10 years ahead. So these statements should be inspiring, like we have said. Now, I will invite you to do research on quite a number of different mission and vision statements. So for example, the vision statement of WHO as an organization simply talks about better healthcare in the region now and in future. You can see it is even having practically the word future. So that's a vision statement for WHO. Better health in the region now and in the future. Different organizations will craft these vision statements depending on what they are seeing as the future. But when we talk about inspiring, then anybody who is working for WHO knows that the organization is looking at having a better health now and in the future. So they are able to push themselves to be able to achieve or get to achieve this particular vision statement, or get to see it into fruition or it happening because they have been able to put in their best efforts. And we are saying a mission statement is going to define an organization's core purpose, values, and primary stakeholders. It answers the question on why do we exist. I like this particular statement. So the vision will talk about the future. The mission is going to be telling everyone why do we exist. And it will help an organization to outline what it does, how it serves people, and its fundamental purpose. So it's very, very important to understand also a mission statement needs to be specific and very actionable. When we go back to our example on WHO, their mission statement is quite lengthy, and it talks about guiding and helping countries around the world to take. So the key focus for WHO in terms of their mission is reduce deaths from non-communicable diseases, and also they are very keen and loud in terms of promoting mental health and also achieving zero hunger in 2030 to be able to improve matters healthcare. It is quite a lengthy mission statement. You could also look for other healthcare organizations, the Center for Disease Control. You can find out their mission and vision so that you can be able to differentiate in terms of wording. Are you able to see why do we exist when you read a mission statement? And are you able to see the future when you read a vision statement? So mission, vision, goals. So when we talk about goals, we are looking at the broad term that the organizations aim to achieve. So they are developed from missions and visions, and their key intention is to be able to provide a strategic direction And when you talk about goals, then we are looking at the aspect of growth of the business, profitability of the business, sustainability. That means the ability of the business to last for a particular period, and also market leadership. And in terms of objectives, we could have specific objectives, measurable, that is guided by an abbreviation we call SMART. That anytime that we are generating organizations' objectives, then they need to be SMART. SMART will stand for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So it is key to know that anytime we are developing these goals, then the abbreviation of SMART will be very, very important. I've said specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So achievable is captured in our next statement here, that their actions need to achieve the goals of the organization. So that's very, very important to be able to understand. So we have looked at the goals. Now, vision, mission, goals, and objectives. We are saying that they set the overall direction and purpose. So all of them are to tell us where we want to be, of course. And the goals are going to be defining the strategic aim. And then we also need to be able to align them to each other because the purpose is to be able to achieve the overall organizational objectives. We will also mention the types of strategies. We have 3 of them. We have what we call corporate strategies. So organizations could have corporate strategies. Number 2, they could have business strategies or business strategy. And number 3, they could have functional strategies. Now, when it comes to corporate strategies, key focus is on the overall direction and the scope of the entire corporation or the entire company. Overall direction is where we want to go as a company. So that's a corporate strategy. And it is also going to involve decisions about which industries or markets to compete in. And the purpose is to maximize on corporations' long-term goals. Examples of corporate strategies would be strategies on diversification. When you are talking about diversification, would be, for example, venturing into new markets, or also diversification in terms of our product lines. We could also have, in terms of corporate strategies, having conversations around mergers, around acquisitions, around global expansions. We could have overall corporate strategies also in terms of revenue and profit goals, and also in terms of market expansion goals. So these are just overall strategies. That's why we are calling them corporate strategies. Then we have what we call business strategies. And we are saying these ones are concerned with how a specific business unit or division is going to compete with the chosen market. So these strategies simply also help an organization to achieve their long-term goals. And they are also going ahead to define competitive advantage of a particular product or service. They will also address questions like market positioning, differentiation, and target customer segments. Some of the examples that we can just call business strategies are in terms of cost leadership. So you being a leader in terms of cost, and also in terms of service provision. When you are also a leader in terms of cost, clients are looking at you to be able to say that your services, your goods are cost effective, and they would prefer to be served by your organization. And then we have also business strategies around product differentiation. This is all about you providing uniqueness and quality products. And we could also have business strategies in terms of market segmentation, where we will be dividing our clients into segments based on their importance. We have those clients that we would refer to as big clients, those that bring a huge business to us. We could have others that are just walk-in clients. So we can segment in a number of ways. We can segment geographically. We can segment in terms of customer importance, and so on and so forth. So that's on the business strategies. Remember, I've said the corporate ones are overall. Then the business ones are going to guide us into achieving the corporate ones, and also the functional ones. So functional strategies are simply focused on having strategies along or within departments. A function is just a department, and that's why in the first statement here we are talking about such as marketing, finance, or operation. So when we are having coordination within departments, then this is going to support the achievement of the business and corporate level objectives. So we need to align our functional activities to overall strategic goals so that we can be able to move forward. When we look at the marketing function, for example, we could be guided, or we could be looking forward to having better brand awareness, financial strategies, how we are going to manage our costs, and also operation strategies. So they are also, these particular strategies are also very, very important, and we cannot afford to ignore them. Now, every strategy has certain components that are going to now make it succeed. Number one, it will involve formulation and implementation of major decisions that are going to shape the company's nature and competitive position. So we need to now formulate these decisions. So through a strategy, it is going to guide us on how we make decisions on various company issues, and how we are going to develop a competitive position. How are we going to stand out? And that's an important question that we need to ask ourselves there. And then also another component is we are able to develop a strategic plan encompassing a mission, vision, objectives. So I did mention the aspect of a strategic plan. Strategic management will also lead us to now formulation of the document we call a strategic plan. And through this document now, it will act as a guide on where we want to go and what is it that we want to do and achieve. And finally, a strategy will also have an objective, and this one is going to ensure that there is alignment of resources with goals. Remember, the issue of resource at all times is scarce. I was just discussing with somebody, and they are telling them they need to adjust some timings because they are short of staff. Staff are human resources, and they can also be scarce. Maybe the organization is not having enough finances to employ as they would want to. So it means those that are available will maybe have to strain to deliver the overall goals and objectives of the organization, and also be able to help them achieve the overall strategy or goal. Now, we have what we call dimensions of strategic decisions. So strategic decisions, for them to be able to succeed or for them to be able to happen, number one, they require top management decisions. So top management must be involved in terms of giving a go ahead on various decisions that we are supposed to make because of the strategies that we have as an organization. And they also consume significant resources. I have given examples of those resources: financial resources, time resources, human resources, and so on and so forth. And they affect the long-term prosperity of the organization. So how we do it now in terms of setting our strategies, it's going to tell us on whether we succeed or not. And also, strategic decisions are future oriented. We are looking into the future to see whether we can be able to achieve it or to achieve the strategies. And we are also saying that another dimension is that they have multifunctional consequences. So we could be expecting to have positive or negative consequences. And finally, they require consideration of the external environment. So our strategies are also guided by external environment. When we talk about external environment, we are asking ourselves, number one, what is the political situation and environment that we are operating in as an organization? Number two, what is the economic situation in terms of taxation, in terms of inflation? Now you are hearing conversations of the dollar and a country's currency and so on and so forth. External environment could also include number three, the environment, the organization in the physical environment. We could have disasters that are taking place there, issues to do with El Nino, floods, earthquakes. All those are issues that are going to hamper the success of our strategies or prevent us as organizations achieving our strategies. So they are very, very important. And also we could also be having legal issues. Maybe our company is embroiled in some court issues. Time for me maybe to go for those so be aware of these external environments. And finally, another external environment is things to do with social cultural environment. So all of them will have an impact on the organization. Now, strategic management has a number of characteristics. Number one, it needs to be motivating people. When we set these plans, people need to be motivated so that they can be able to achieve them. And also, for strategic management to be able to work, we need to have balancing viewpoints. So everybody's input will be very important for the success of strategic management. And then also through it, another characteristic, we could be able to create organizational values. We could also be able to foster ideas within the organization. We could also be able to manage risks through strategic management. What I've just given as examples of external environment could also turn out to be risks that could prevent us from achieving our strategies. For example, we could have political risks, environmental risks, and so on and so forth. And finally, the final one is the ability to be able to apply leadership skills to foresee that the strategies that we have set have been achieved. Now we have a number of tasks that we need to do in terms of strategic management. Number one, it will involve us formulating the company's mission. I have already talked about that. So we have said the purpose of a company's mission is to tell us what we are doing currently. So this task cannot be avoided in matters strategic management. And also through it, we can also be able to analyze internal conditions. Internal conditions are those conditions within an organization setup that could be able to affect our strategic management activities. It could be, for example, the availability of resources. It could be management support, top management support. If it is there, the better for us in terms of strategic management. But if we are reading from different scripts as managers of any organization, then that particular internal condition could put us in a wrong place where we will not be able to manage our plans. And also it involves assessing the external environment. We have just talked about that in one of the slides, looking at what are the external environment conditions that are going to affect our strategy, our strategic plan, and our strategies in general. Another task that we need to look on in terms of strategic management, we need to identify options and resources available, because these ones will play a critical role in enabling us now to be able to succeed in terms of achieving our strategies. And then we could also select our objectives and strategies. And finally, we could work with developing annual objectives. The reason why we are developing annual objectives and strategies is to assist us to be able to look at all these strategies, to be able to evaluate these strategies after a certain duration of time. We could also have organizations that are doing short-term strategies, for example, for 6 months. So after the 6 months, we can look back and see whether we are moving on successfully, and how we can be able to improve the areas that we can be able to improve, so that we can be able to achieve our strategies. And finally, other tasks that are involved in strategic management, we need to evaluate the strategic process. So we need to ensure that within the strategic process, all the steps have been undertaken. Remember, the key emphasis is to ensure that the overall organization goal has been achieved. Then we will also be able to look at the philosophical approaches in strategic management. These are just approaches that are going to assist us to be able to become better and succeed in matters strategic management. We have what we call the systems thinking. And when we are talking about the systems thinking in the context of strategic management, this particular thinking tells us that an organization is just a system, a complex system that is affected by internal and external factors. So for us to be able to succeed in terms of strategic management, then we need to ensure that everything within the system is working in tandem, or it's well coordinated. Remember, we have seen there is what we call functional strategies. If one of the departments within those functions that you have as an organization is not working, then definitely that is going to bring a challenge within the system. So the system thinking approach is simply emphasizing that let everything within a system be working. We could also look at a system as how our body operates, how a car is able to move. There must be a coordination of so many things. Yeah, and so we are saying the key emphasis in terms of system thinking as an approach to strategic management is to be able to consider the organization as a whole in strategy development. So even in an organization, we are not going to say a cleaner is not a very important person. Everybody must be brought on board, because the failure of one person then renders the system not being able to work efficiently. So system thinking approach is very, very critical, and I think is one of the main approaches that organizations need to adopt. And it is simply understanding every component within the system is very important. And then we have what we call contingency thinking. It is simply a perspective that no one right way to develop a strategy. It depends on specific circumstances. Yeah, so this particular strategy or approach in strategic management is simply saying that we do not have a strategy, a specific way. We cannot say the only way to develop a strategy is to follow step A, B, C, and D, or it is to have the most learned staff. You could also have the most learned, but still organize contingency thinking approach is desisting us from having the thought that based on what I think as a manager is going to work, it may not work for everyone. And that's why we need to have conversations and negotiations among all cadres of staff within an organization so that we can brainstorm together and come up with maybe come up with our own what we call a right way to be able to do things. So it also emphasizes that strategic management will depend on the circumstances that we are in. For example, when the world was in problems in terms of COVID-19, organizations, of course, were forced to sit down and re-strategize again. Yeah. So that particular period was based on the circumstance of the organization having trouble or challenges around COVID-19. And part of the things that organization did was number one, to embrace virtual meetings, embrace virtual working from home. And during that season, there are those that developed strategies even to send some employees home. So all that was being done based on that particular circumstance that we were in. So assuming an organization had a very nice strategy during the COVID-19, a very nice strategy in terms of what you have just mentioned, in terms of revenue and profit goals, in terms of market expansion. Definitely during that season, there would be a challenge in terms of achieving those particular goals. And that's why we emphasize when it comes to strategic management and when you are setting strategies, you need to be flexible. And when you are flexible and you have an opportunity to change, then now that never change. You will look at the circumstance that we are talking about and see how you can improve in terms of strategies. We also have what we call a resource-based view. It's another approach, and the focus is on resources and capabilities as key drivers of organizational success. So resource-based view simply says an organization's success will be based on whether we have the key drivers. It could be the resources that we have. If they are good enough, we are able to succeed and move forward. And also there is emphasis in terms of leveraging and developing unique resources for you to be able to stand out in terms of competition. So the resource-based view will simply emphasize on the importance of organizational internal resources. So what is the number of our staff? Are they the right staff? Do we have the right finances? Are we able to share and distribute work among this staff? And so many other things that we would refer to as key drivers within an internal organization environment. Another philosophical approach is what we call stakeholder theory. And when we are doing stakeholder theory, we need to acknowledge various stakeholders in our journey towards achieving our strategies. So once we know that employees are important, customers are important, suppliers are important, shareholders are important, then even as we sit down and develop strategies, then we still have them in mind. And we know that without them, some of these strategies cannot be achieved. So this particular theory will simply emphasize on the need to consider all stakeholders. What we have just mentioned here are examples. Depending on the organization, the stakeholders are going to be changing. So let us have them in mind. And part of ensuring that you involve them, number one, you need to know who they are. And that's why we need to define the stakeholders. Then we identify and analyze them. And also we put them in what we call stakeholder engagement activities. So we could ask them questions based on expansion. We could, if they are employees, we could ask them to give ideas and suggestions. We could encourage them to be creative and innovative, all in the name of being able to achieve our strategies. And finally, we uh, uh, yeah, so the goal is to be able to create long-term values for the organization. And also in terms of sustainable development approach, a key focus is also to be able to minimize negative impacts of any activities. We could be focusing so much on achieving our strategies and focusing on strategic management, but we are doing very poorly in terms of waste management. We have very poor waste management strategies as an organization. So to be able to achieve this, we need to ensure that we have developed strategies that promote long-term sustainability. We could also take part in social responsibility activities as part of ensuring that we continually continue to last within a particular duration of time. So that particular point on sustainable development is going to bring us to the end of this particular lecture. Maybe if any one of you has a question, I would invite you maybe to give a comment or to ask a question on any of those slides that we have discussed. Yes, George?
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm good.
Yes.
Thank you so much. The presentation that you have lectured this evening is actually very important to us.
Yes.
And of course, as stakeholders who are at the same time as students,
Yes.
we are actually required and also be very smart as you explain it
Yes,
in
correct.
anything that, yeah, in anything that we do.
Yes.
We must be actually be specific with our objectives,
Yes, very
as
good.
well as also look at our objective as measurable
Yes.
and then achievable, rather than actually over doing the over targets of what we cannot actually achieve.
Yes.
And we also need also to be realistic. Are we realistic enough
Yes.
in what we have actually planned, and then look at it as our objectives based on the missions and also the core value
Yes.
before we set the targets for our goal. Then by then we also have to look at the time frame
Yes.
as well as the time bands. We can also be accountable to our beneficiaries. So it is actually very nice presentation, and
Yes.
I wish if we can actually download the presentation and be going through, it will benefit most of us. Thank
Yes.
you so much for this.
Thank you so much, Mr. George. Thank you so much for those comments, and everything that you have said is correct. Isaac?
Yes, thank you so much for this evening lecture, and I really appreciate you so much.
Yes.
My question is concerning the contingency. Is it also applicable in terms of budgeting? Thank you.
Okay, very good. Any other question?
Yes, good evening, bro.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, this is Byte Ronald.
Yes.
I just want to request, if possible, at least you provide us with the link, all with the links for all the lectures you've provided to actually in all the last lectures, because sometimes I've been getting difficult to attend the lessons. So I request, if possible, you provide us uh, links for the video on YouTube, so that at least you can have a chance to watch them.
Yes. Okay. That's okay. I will liaise with Mr. Samuel to be able to provide those links for you to be able to follow up on the discussion. Now, there's a question in regards to, is contingency also part of, is it applicable in budgeting? Yes, it is very, very applicable. And once we are able to understand aspects around contingency, then because we are doing budgeting, we are also able to deal with any uncertainties and eventualities that is going to arise.
Right.
Remember, in every country now we are having challenges of increased taxation. We are having challenges in terms of inflation. So we need to plan ahead. And as we plan also, we need to be flexible, because if the levels of taxation increase, then it means we need to adjust our budget. So that's a very good question, and it is applicable in budgeting. Very good. That's a good question. Any other question or comment?
Okay, thank you. This is Josh. Hello. Hello.
Yes, we are getting you. We are getting you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. What I wanted to actually comment